All right. Looks like we are live here on twitch.tv/Perry Von Vicious. All right. Getting all our stuff lined up here. There we go. We're looking good. We got a good view of the bench top here. I'm down in the corner. All right. I'm getting a few alerts, making sure everything's live and set up and running correctly. Okay, that looks fine. That looks fine. All right, I think we're good. All right, welcome back to another workshop stream here. Today I'm going to be hopefully finishing up this round of figures that I've been working on. There are some parts that are full-on finished as I'm picking them off the rack here. We got all the arms are painted and clear coated. They're looking good. So happy with the arms. Let's take a look here. Now these are the parts that are going to need a little bit of work. I've got the torso and head combos that still need pupils in the eyes. Old Perry's looking a little demonic in those shots, with no pupils in the eyes just yet. And then I also have the legs, and those need the name across the back, so we're going to get to that as well. I'm still kind of undecided on what color I'm going to do the names across here. It feels like white is the answer. My white paint markers tend to play a little rough, so we'll try it on one and see how it does. If that's not great, I have black paint markers. I also have silver. I just want to make sure it's really legible and like you can see it well, you know. So I think we'll get to those probably second. Slide our arms out of the way here, and then because that would make for a very short stream, I have some other projects we've been working on that I'm going to show off how they're coming along. Which reminds me, I got to tend to a 3D print behind us in a second. And then I have a couple other ongoing projects that need to be fixed. I have some corrections to make on projects that went wrong. I have a resin print back there that I'm going to be showing off in a minute. It's just taking a little spin through the curing box. But yeah, I think we're gonna get right into these. These heads came out really nice, and I'm hoping. I know sometimes the light can be a little harsh here. Gonna try to take a little of the harshness away, but that's looking really good. So I'm very happy with that. The legs also looking very nice. All the little detail came through the way I wanted it to. So hoping that we can nail all of this in one go and have it come out in a way that we'll be happy about. So I have a little cardboard to work on here, and I need my sort of fine point. This is my Gundam paint marker. This is what I use for the eyes, because it is such a, it's a very, I don't even know if it'll show on camera there. It's a very fine point. You can see it there. So I give a couple little squiggles here to make sure it's working, and then we're gonna try to keep it in frame while I do this. But it's very fiddly work, and it's way more important that I see what's happening than you see what's happening. So. Alright, that looks good. That looks good. Alright. Good looking eyes there. It's looking alright. Alright, there's one down. We'll set him off to dry. Do this next one here. Bring the light back. It's going to make it a little harsh for you guys, but I'll be able to see a little bit better. Yeah, that looks really nice. All right. There we go. Perry looking pretty good. I know the camera here never quite focuses the way we really want. But I'm hoping to remedy that soon. I have a new camera that I can probably start using for these live streams soon. It was gifted to me, but it was missing a cable I needed to hook it up, so haven't been able to give it a shot just yet. All right. There we go. Yeah. Get it right up in the little camera there. I think he's looking pretty good. Alright, gonna set those aside. And we are going to take to these legs here to see what we can do. Hey, Cody Brooks, welcome, bud. We're working on finishing off this next set of figures, and we're so close. Now, this is I'm coming up on sort of a difficult part here. I need the Vicious across the back of these tights. I want it to be very legible, and I think white on the red is going to be what we can read the best. And I have two different acrylic white paint markers to work with, and I really don't know which one's going to work better. I'm going to shake them up, and we're going to test them on the cardboard here, just so I can get a little bit of a look. Now this one doesn't have the finest point. I have worked with it before. The paint can be a little transparent. This one I've not worked with much. It also has sort of the little chisel point. It's much more visible. I think we're going to try this this weak little Walmart marker first, rather than the expensive Gundam markers that I got from Japan. Just seems like in this case the cheap might be what we need. Now, if this ends up not working really well, I do have I have black, which I could do as well. I don't think it's going to stand out as well on the red. And I also have silver, which again I don't think is going to stand out that much, but I need something kind of bright, and I would much prefer to do this with a marker as opposed to an actual paintbrush. So we're gonna try it out here, and then in a few minutes we're gonna take a look at a toy I've been developing that's almost ready for its production run. All right, so let's see. Going to straight up move that out of the way. Alright, so right in the middle. Alright, that is going to stand out pretty good. There it is, Vicious. If it decides it wants to focus. Alright, well, we're going to set that aside and see how that dries up. It may need a second go over. I'm also not totally loving how my handwriting looks on that, but Worse things have happened. I've seen the handwriting of other wrestlers, so I don't feel that bad. There we go, vicious. Actually doesn't look too bad. If that ends up drying that opaque, I think that looks pretty good. Yeah. That looks pretty great. I'm going to get it in the little camera. See, yeah, shows up pretty good there. Look at that. Yeah, I think that looks pretty alright. Alright, let me get the cap back on this. Set all of those aside so that they have a chance to set up and dry before we, because I do hope to assemble at least one of them before we're done here. But it is contingent on those parts drying. We may have to come back with our heat gun on the low setting and just try to clean it up a little. Let's see. Okay, that resin part is still working back there. So one of the things I want to try to do, I've talked about it on stream before, is I made these figures for Rip and Delmy for their wedding and was unable to give them to them because disaster struck on the paint job right before like the night before their wedding. Everything was clear coated, we were ready to go, and then everything went wrong and everything kind of wound up off. This is essentially the big trouble piece, and then these pieces broke. So what I need to do is I'm going to take my Dremel tool to the joints on this piece and make those holes just a little bit more forgiving for a set of fresh arms that have been primed already. These arms need to be painted so that they match, and then the gear on them painted as well. And Delmy's face needs to be redone, and for that I need to mix up some paint that's gonna match the flesh tone I worked up here. That was the trouble I had before, was matching the flesh tone, which can be really hard. So that's going to be the whole back half of this stream, is trying to fix this figure. However, I did just hear the curing box finish, which means we can take a look at another project I've been working on. Yeah. It's going to need another spin, but not too bad. All right. So this is exciting. I've been working on wind-up toys that are going to be sold as a play set to have little battles. And what I've printed so far, I have, this is going to be the lid to the carrying case that it all comes in, but when you set it down, it's also the ring that they will fight in. These little ridges are set up so that figures can fall out and figures can knock each other over within the ring. Sort of Royal Rumble rules on the play set. And then I had shown everyone that I had picked up these wind-up toy blanks, which you'll put in here, and they'll fight each other by running into each other or otherwise falling out of the ring. But I needed a way to make this look like me and like other wrestlers. So I did an initial design that looked a little something like this. It's got his little muscles, his little arms, a little opening where the wind-up piece comes out, and the opening on the inside. And this does fit really nicely. In fact, it fits on so snug it doesn't really fall off once it's on. It's a little bit heavy though. It does, however, work. I will show that it does, in fact, little wind-up Harry does walk around. And he's a little top heavy, so he'll tip easy, which is nice, because that's, in theory, how the game will work. These pieces will be glued together once the printed pieces are painted. But it was a little bit too top heavy for my liking. He looks a little bulky and cubey, which is, it's cute. I like that it's very geometric that way, but I'd like it to be a bit lighter. So I actually went in and I did a little redesigning, and I came up with this, which might not look too different until you look from above. This is a square, this one's a circle. This is just a tiny bit bigger than the piece it's going on, so it's kind of an exact fit, which is very cool. And we'll see how it actually, yeah, it fits real snug. That's a real nice fit, and it is significantly lighter. So I haven't actually tried this yet because it only just came out of the curing box. We're going to see how it walks around. Oh, that's so cool. And it does tip over if it bumps the side, which is the point. Whichever wrestler goes down first loses, because you want to have two of them fighting each other. Let's see how it just walks around the work surface here. Okay, that rules, and I'm really happy with that. I like the sort of cute cartoony style on this. I'm going to swap to the our opposite view here. Whoa, it's all sized weird. That's weird. Alright, hang on, I'm going to fix that. There, that's better. I do like how that looks, that very cartoony style. I think that that's cool, and once he's painted, he'll look like me. And that's pretty sweet. So I'm very pleased with this. I am going to do an alternate version. I believe the other character I'm going to make is probably going to be Rip. And that's entirely because the only thing I'll have to change is I'm going to put a headband going across his forehead and change his hairstyle just a little bit. Rip tends to keep a ponytail these days. But otherwise, it'll be the same figure, and that's really why I'm doing that. It's just a small change, which very reminiscent of old classic toys like that. I do want to see how he walks around in here again, because I feel like he, on my work surface here, he doesn't get a very good grip. He slides a lot while he's trying to walk. Actually, he kind of moves okay. But I want to see how he walks in the ring again. So good. Yep, and then they fall over, which is exactly what you want them to do, because you want to have a winner and a loser. Alright, I'm going to pop that off of there. Set some of these aside. I'm going to put this back in the curing box. It needs another little bit of a run there. Alright, so we are going to proceed to working on this Delmy figure. Clear a little space here so we can work on this without, I mean, truth be told, I can't make it much worse, you know what I mean? I do want to Dremel these bits first, so I actually have my, technically it's not a Dremel, it's just a rotary tool because it's not the name brand. Don't want to Kleenex them here, but I do have my Dremel here, and so fair warning, anyone using earbuds to listen to this, it's gonna sound terrible, sound like the dentist, but it'll be brief. And that should do plenty to help that. It only needs a little bit of extra leeway in there, and then these parts should go in okay. I kind of want to test one just to make sure, but I don't want to snap it trying. I know often I will hit this with the heat gun. It's not a thermoplastic, but even, you know, any plastic, when you warm it up, it gets a little bit softer, so it becomes a little more forgiving. So I may do that before I go to actually build them. Yeah, I may even sand this just a little bit before that. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. I had a piece of sandpaper here. There it is. So we're going to hit that and just soften it down a little bit. No reason to give it any extra inclination toward snapping, you know. And on that, all I'm doing is you can see where it's softened those edges. I'm just taking the sandpaper and wrapping it around the peg with very light pressure. I'm just doing a bunch of little passes. I'm literally only taking it down a little bit. I'm just trying to soften it. Yeah, that'll help. That'll help a lot. And I'm gonna take a sort of look here and see. Yeah, that should be able to get in there without too much trouble. Alright, so now comes our first task, which is mixing a paint that's going to match this flesh tone that I had previously created. It was not an easy flesh tone to create. When you're looking at flesh tones online, they don't have a wide variety. You kind of get, there's sort of what we would, you would sort of think of as an African American tone, even though there's tons of flesh tones in that world. And then there's sort of a Caucasian tone. Those are sort of what's sold. Even though all of those, there's a whole spectrum depending on, like, this is certainly more pale than I am now, but by the end of winter I will look exactly like this. So it's a little tricky trying to get a flesh tone just right, especially when it's for a Latina character. Hey, Nickabeans, welcome. Yeah, we're you just rolled in. I'll show you the thing that I was just showing off. Oh, it's gonna take a minute. It's in the curing box. But I have my first working prototype. I believe I finished the design for the wind-up figure and for the case. So I'll be able to show those off in a minute. A little bit earlier, we put some finishing touches on Perry here. He now has the Vicious on the trunks, sort of the Japan wave, as that was the gear that I wore there. This is Delmi's gift, yeah. And then I also put the pupils onto Perry's little eyes, and those all came out what I would qualify as good enough. Yeah, some of them I may touch up later, but they're all pretty good for now, and I like to let them dry before I fiddle with them too much. So in trying to match this, I believe the two colors I used to work this up were these. And I'm guessing it's considerably heavier on this this Golden Sunset, which is pretty close to the tone on there. Now, since these arms are a waste, these are a lost cause. I'm not going to get to reuse these because the pegs snapped. I can use them for testing the color. So I'm going to go ahead and dig us out a nice brush to use for touching up the face here. And this is a favorite of mine. Keep the water nearby. And we're gonna see if we can get something to match here. Gotta mix it up first, otherwise if you don't mix these really good, they come out all runny. I've been meaning to you can 3D print a little thing that clamps onto these, and then the back end goes into your drill, and you just whee, and it mixes it all for you. I'll get to it. Hey, Rye, welcome. Got everybody rolling in for a chill, relaxing craft stream. Alright, let's get a fair bit of that down into the cup. I did replenish my Dollar Tree cup collection. Now I can see that that's definitely not a match, so I'm gonna have to, I feel like I'm gonna have to creep up on the color. You know, you gotta get up on it slowly. If you try to come up on it fast, you overshoot. So shake this one up too. This yeah, this is a God Queen for ants. So I'm literally just gonna go 2 drops of the brown here. I'm going to mix that up and we'll see what that does. even that may have gone a little dark. That may have been too much. We'll see. It might be a little too yellow. This is one of the problems. When I mixed up this kind of perfect skin tone, I wasn't on stream because it was meant to be a surprise, and I have no idea how I did it. So if this doesn't work, I've got more cups. We can keep trying color mixing. I know how people on the internet love color mixing. I see the videos on my like paint color mixing and clay color mixing. I see all of that come across my my streams. Add a little pink, says Nickabeans. Yeah, we may have to, because we gotta... Yeah, we're in kind of a weird yellow territory here. Again, I'm not sure how well that color difference is picked up on camera here, but it's too yellow. It's definitely too yellow. Maybe it is a little pink. Now, what do you think? Do I add like pink, or do I add like some fleshy pink? What do we think? I'm kind of leaning toward maybe the fleshy. Or does pink to start? Okay, you know what? This is one of those instances where I have so little clue what I'm doing. I could not be happier for anyone in the chat to just tell me what to do. All right, I'm gonna continue the idea that I'm just creeping up on it. I'm just going with one little dab for now. We'll see what that does. Definitely, we're weirdly very close, but also I feel like I'm nowhere near. Yeah, still not there. It's possible that this has too much yellow in it to begin with, and that may not be what I started with originally. It's possible that I literally just did brown and white, and that's how I got to this color. I literally can't recall. Hey, thanks, Nightbot. I'm gonna do a bit more of the pink. This is one of the nice things about using like cheap paints and materials. I can mix and mix and mix and mix, and if it doesn't work, I will throw the paint out. It doesn't matter. I don't use that much of it at a given shot, so yeah, I think we're seeing too much yellow in all of this is really the issue. Yeah. Now, of course, the other thing I could do is I could just repaint all the rest of the flesh. I have to repaint the face anyway. But I think, you know what, this isn't going to go anywhere. I'm going to set that there. We're gonna just try straight up. We'll try brown and white and see if we get there, because it's very light. Neutralize the yellow. You need to use purple? Purple? I don't even know if I have purple paint. I think that falls in the small category of colors I don't really have, which is crazy because I have like 30 bottles of paint over there. All right, it's getting warm down here, so I'm gonna lose a layer. So that's true. I could mix a little blue in the pink. I'm gonna jump a step real quick though. I'm just gonna try some brown and white together because there's not. I know it might not. Yeah, it's hard to tell how well the color comes out. This webcam doesn't even really focus all that well. I'll put it in the bottom corner. Yeah, even there, I don't know how well the color comes through. But it's going to be a little rocky to get this just right. Alright. I do have the white here. So I'm literally just going to do brown and white, and we're going to see if making just a light brown ends up being what I did, because this was weeks ago. Delmy and Rip are like a month into their marriage now. And I don't recall what I did. Alright, we'll try that. Grab a fresh mixing stick here. Alright, that's not nearly light enough. You gotta go way lighter than that. Which I probably could have guessed. I mean, on camera it looks about right. In person, it's not. Actually, it's pretty close. I do need some more. It does need to be a bit lighter though. It's actually, it's kind of close. It may just be that that's what I did. It's so crazy because when I look at it in the cup, it really doesn't look right to me at all. Then I see it on screen and it looks pretty close. When I hold it next to this, it's also pretty close. I think there's almost a bit of yellow missing from it now. There's sort of a lack of humanity to the color now. Add some fleshy to it now. You could be right. I think you're onto something. I do have two fleshies that are on screen going to look probably near identical. I have Peach and Sun-Kissed Peach. I think the regular Peach might be what I need to run with here. I think you're right about adding some fleshy color to it. I think it's missing a little humanity. Right now it's just sort of like milk chocolate, which no skin tone really is. There's that sort of, I think it was on Adam Savage's channel that I heard that you'd be surprised how much in getting any sort of flesh tone correct, you have to add a little bit of blue or a little bit of green, because it's just in there and we don't perceive it, but it's there. And I'm creeping up on this. I'm mixing so slowly. I literally put 1 drop in there, which I know isn't going to be enough because the darker colors in these acrylics tend to overpower. Let's get a look. Yeah, it's going to need a little bit more. You know what? Because it almost misses the yellow, I kind of wonder if I should mix some of what I was doing in here. I'm scared to mess it up though. Alright, I'm gonna give it like 2 good dollops here of this. Okay, let's see what that does. It's wild how the auto color correction on camera is giving this such a yellow tint, and all I'm seeing is like hot cocoa color. Okay, this is it's pretty close. It's still missing. There's like, you know what we'll do? Because these are throwaway pieces that I'm using to just make sure whether I have it right. We're gonna go ahead and get a little on a brush so that I can see. Yeah, it's a little too light. I could just go over all the flesh parts, of course. I could just go over all of those and make a match, but yeah, that's not quite it. You can sort of see, I hope it's coming through on the screen. Again, this crappy webcam, I don't know, man. Not quite there. I do think it's almost like it needs some of that in it, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the mixing stick from one and use it in the other and just see what happens. I can always start over. I've got the time. Okay, that just gave a tiny little bit of that yellow into it that we were mixing elsewhere. Clean this brush off. And let's see if that gets us a bit closer. Oh, got paint on myself. I'm always so careful to not have paint on myself. I want to look neat and tidy at all times, even though I'm working with paint. Alright, let's try that. That might not have been enough to make a big difference. It's actually pretty close. Yeah, the yellow is still so strong once it's in there. There's not much of it. That's pretty close. Yeah, I think it needs a little bit more mixing here. I don't think I mixed it very well. Hey, Cody came back. Yeah, the whole crew rolled in. Alright. This might be it. We might have done it. It took some doing, but we might have gotten there. Alright, I'm taking a fresh arm so we get a fresh look at the two colors together. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, because it's really hard to tell where one color ends and one color begins. And that's what we're after. Alright, we did it. Cool. I'm going to take these two sacrificial arms and just set them out of the way. And what I need to do first is I need to put a coat over the Delmy face here. The dreaded, terrifying, creepy, weird, destroyed Muppet Delmy face. And I'm going to try to save this head. That's the goal here, is to save this head. Yeah, this might work. If it doesn't, I do have a whole nother Delmy torso printed out. I could just start this over from scratch, although I'd really rather not. I do think this is going to take more than one coat, almost certainly. Yeah, that's going to match. That's going to be close enough, for sure. Now I'm just going to pull the entire coat of paint I put on there very thin, because we're going to go on in multiple thin layers, and I don't want giant paint buildup to hide all the detail. Grab a paper towel, wipe off the excess. Really want to design a From Dusk Till Dawn Selena Hayek look for Delmy, like the jewelry and headpiece screams God. Oh, that's a cool idea. You should mention that to her. I know, you know, wrestlers are always very open to crossover stuff. At least I find, especially if it means something getting done that they don't have to do the work on. Alright, so that's a first pass on there, which on camera looks fine, although it all looks very yellow for some reason. I don't know what's going on with the look on this camera. But I'm going to set that to dry. We may hit it with the heat gun. Oh, that's right. That's right. You were working on my my figure. Well, you got a week and a half till grind, and like a month and a half, 2 months almost, until the last Blitzkrieg for the year. Which reminds me, I don't know if I updated all my dates, but I should have, when they scroll across, 1 grind, 2 dates for Limitless equating to 3 shows, a rad, and a blitz. And I think that's what I have left for the year, unless something creeps up in the meantime, which it could. It could. Alright, I'm going to keep the rack over here so I can get to this. And these parts are small, and I had to do this before when I worked on them. But these parts I'm actually going to go ahead and put my... I have this surgical clamp that when you click it shut, it stays held shut. So I'm just going to clip that on so that I've got a way to hold this where I'm not holding an area that needs to be painted. I'm just going to work on doing the flesh parts of this arm. The clamps. Just the clamps. Strong side, I didn't know you had any rhythm. Oh sure, I got tons of rhythm. Alright, and this does good coverage. I might only have to do 1 or 2 coats of this. I will say the primer that I got for this, that's this sort of brown color that's primed here. Really weird primer. It's a very chunky. Like there's a lot of texture that it added to the pieces I primed with it, and I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think I like it, but it does make the paint stick real nice. Wow. Wow. That is really nice. I've not had paint stick like that to a model before. I might need to switch over to this weird textured primer every time. Wow. Yeah, that works really, really nice. I will say this bend in this arm does make it a very hard piece to paint. It's very difficult to get the right angles on it to get everywhere. I don't think I would repeat that on a design in the future. It does look cool, and it adds a very unique stance to her figure when it's just posed. But if you were doing a production run of these, doing more than just one like what I'm doing, that would be a real pain to have to paint over and over. I think I would lose patience with that. Yeah, this might only need like 2 coats, which is not normal for a light color going on a dark color, but this is looking pretty good. And I do think it's that texture that the primer put on there. Did you try cutting the bristles on your brush? I've done that on a few different brushes, and depending on which ones I'm using, it's pretty successful for a lot of different uses. I think probably the best use I've had for it though was when I needed a more fine point brush. I was able to just trim one down. I kind of gave it an angle on the brush. Although now I went ahead and I broke down and I bought some really nice fine point brushes on Amazon. I had a 3D print order come through that made me a little bit of money, so I splurged, treated myself. Oh, with the elbow crease, yeah. That could help, for sure. All right, now the fine detail on here that you can't see because it's not painted yet, that I'm trying to recreate, is that of her little gauntlets, those 2 little stripes that go up there. I don't want to paint those because the blue is a very bright color and it doesn't go over other dark colors very well, so I don't want to paint flesh tone there if I don't have to. I'd rather just put the blue there when it's time. Thankfully, I do have those fine tip brushes now that'll help paint that gear when it's time, because it is a very finicky, fine little detail. Alright, let's get a look here. Did I miss anywhere? I don't think so. Alright, that's a pretty good first pass on that. So I'm going to set that out of the way where it can dry, and take this other one here And this is when I'm going to hold it by the hand until the upper part's done, and then I'll switch and hold by the joint while I do the lower part. Whew, okay. Let's get into it. Yeah, the paint does stick real nice to this primer, but I'm not sure about the texture it put on here. The texture is strong enough that it's visible. I'm hoping it'll be less visible after a couple coats of paint and then clear coat on top of it, that some of that texture will have been filled in as we go. It's one of the nice things about doing a semi-gloss finish on these. It covers a multitude of sins, as Adam Savage likes to say. In a minute after this arm is done, I will go and I will retrieve the piece that's been curing behind me, and we can take a look at the wind-up Perry playset as it's coming along, the sort of prototype. I'm excited to show that off now that there's some more folks here. I think that's going to be a really neat little thing to have on the merch table. You know, and like, it's the kind of thing that, like, no one was clamoring for that. No one was like, oh, you should have a wind-up toy. But for me, I like the idea that all my merch is stuff that I'm proud of and it's unique. So having something like that, easy fit for me. All right. Yeah, I bet I can keep a hold up here while I do the hand. We don't have to switch how we're holding it. Stay right where we're at. I have gotten a bunch of dates for 2026. The year is filling up already. It's only October of this year, so nice to know that some of these companies are already booking shows. They're already thinking of old Pear Bear. Johnny Torres would be the first to tell you. Every year, during the kind of, it's not like an official break that New England wrestling goes on, but most of New England wrestling kind of shuts down January to March. You know, it's hard for talent to travel. Shows get canceled for weather all the time, and you end up losing money with venues. So it's a high risk time to run. So a lot of companies just kind of close their doors in the winter months up here. So I'll have a couple shows, but not many. And it gets real quiet, and boy, when it gets quiet, my brain starts telling me, oh yeah, no one's going to book you this year. This is the year that everyone's over Perry. Never ends up being the case, and I've gotten a little bit better at shutting those thoughts out, but yeah, I get worrisome in the winter time when it's quiet. And poor Johnny Torres ends up being the one who's got to hear about it. But this year, you'll all be hearing about it because you'll be stuck here with me on my live streams through the winter. Probably a fair bit of workshop stuff, too. A lot of cool toy plans. Some of it stuff I'm going to sell. Some of it stuff that's just for me. Alright. That's a good first coat on that arm. Just going to carefully put that on the stand over here. Let those dry up a little bit. Clean the brush off. That paint's going to stay right where it is because I'm going to do the rest of the coats here, so I don't have to I don't have to redo the color mixing, because that was an adventure. But I can remember now. It's brown, it's white, it's a little of this, some weird yellow, it's some flesh tone. It's not actually that complicated to make, it's just easy to forget how the hell I did it last time. Alright, I'm going to run and I'm going to grab the parts for the Perry playset that we're going to take a look at. That's looking better. Yeah. Alright, so this is, I appreciate that, Nicka Beans. You're always there to hype me up. So this is the playset we've been working on. I had these wind-up toy blanks that I picked up. And you'll recall on stream designing this little guy, who came out absolutely adorable. I did have to do a little finessing of the design off stream. The initial one was considerably larger and way too heavy. It turns out I didn't love the sort of cubed look, the square look, but it is a perfect fit with the legs to where they don't even fall out. And you'll see it from above. He does walk with some difficulty. And the difficulty stems from the fact that he's very heavy. And that's from all the extra size and him being a cube. So fresh out of the curing box, I have one that I made as more of a cylinder. So he's still very geometric. Still has the same sort of basic look. But it's considerably lighter. And it is a perfect fit on our little blank here. I'm just gonna, just like that, real nice, and that bottom does not fall out. Now the finished one I will glue, and they'll be painted, of course, but this is sort of the rough model, and you'll see he walks without any real trouble. Perry salt and pepper shakers. Yeah, the little hole in the top is for drainage when it's printing. And this is what the lid of the carrying case it'll come with looks like. We have sort of mock ring posts, and these ledges are sort of closer to like the ledges on a sumo ring. Because essentially the way the game is played is you'll put one guy here, you'll put your other guy here, you'll both wind them up and you let them go. And it's whoever either falls over or falls out of the ring first loses. And I will say this came out really nice. I'm very happy with the fit of the figure in the space, and it walks around in there very well. And if it gets to the edge, it does have a tendency to fall over or out, which is what we want. And if you have another one in there bumping against it, yeah, there he goes, eliminated. So I'm very happy with that. I think that came out great. And there's going to be a bottom half to this. That's sort of the carrying case that two of these will fit in, and it has a little handle and a clasp and a hinge. Right now the bottom is actually, you can probably hear it in the background. It's printing behind me. So I didn't really invent this as being totally new. This is based off of, and I showed it off on stream a little bit when I was doing the design, a 1980s playset that was for sumo wrestling, built the same way by a company called Tomy Toys, T-O-M-Y. I believe it's, if you quickly Google Tomy Toys Sumo Smash Up, you should see the playset. It's incredible, and I'm totally going to treat myself to one off eBay. But that's sort of what I based this on. And it's just such a great idea that the play place is the box that it all comes in. And when I do these, you're going to get two of these in the set. There will be a Perry, and I'm doing another one that'll have a little headband and a ponytail instead of just down hair. And that's going to be Rip. So it'll be Rip and Perry. And then I'll be able to make other wrestlers too. I could make a Delmy, we could make like a Ryan Mooney, a Mike Skyros, Jay Freddy, CPA, you know, all kinds of folks we could make there. But I'm immensely happy with how that has turned out. And yeah, I'm very excited to get that onto the merch table as soon as I can. Since I do still have first-time parts printing in the background, I am sort of still in the R&D phase, just getting everything kind of squared away, making sure that it's good. But I love that I only have to print one piece for each one. It's solid with no moving parts. The painting on it should be pretty simple. I didn't raise the beard, so I can just paint the beard in, which was a conscious choice for sure. And other than that, the hair is a simple paint job. Putting some eyes on it will be very simple. They're not raised, so I can do them on my own. I had thought about making the face totally flat and getting stickers done of different wrestlers' faces to stick on there. I kind of like painting it and having it be 3D. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it would be cooler to have our actual faces on them. You tell me. But they'll all sort of have the same leg base, and I was able to get a bulk thing of these wind-up blanks. But that fit, I mean, I'm going to hold this up next to the camera. The fit it's just a little. When it goes in, real nice. I'm so happy with that design. This is something I'm so psyched about. When I first had the idea to do it, it seemed a little far-fetched to me, and then I started finding what I needed for it, and it started to become a little more real, which is great. Yeah, yeah, the Ace Ventura voice. Like a glove. All right. Before any of this paint dries up, I believe Delmi's face is dry enough that we can go in with a second coat here. Yeah. And I can see some of the previous paint leaching through, so we are going to need multiple coats here, which is fine by me. Because worst case scenario, wow, when it dries it really doesn't have enough of the yellow in it. Wow, yeah, it still doesn't match. Okay, well that's good to know. We need to throw a little more yellow in this. Yeah, when it dries, a lot of that pigment comes out of it. Okay. Well, learning process, right? Take a bit of that yellow in there. And again, if this ends up not working, if all else fails, I can print a whole new Delmi and start over. I'm apprehensive to do it just because there is so much detail involved on this design. I don't know if it's going to come across on camera. It might have to show it in the little one. But I even have the little sparkles on her boots. So I'm doing all this to avoid doing that again, if that makes sense. Again, if I get the flesh color close enough, I can repaint all the flesh on these. I would just rather not. See that? That might do it. It still doesn't seem quite yellow enough. Where's my tester arm? Yeah, I can see on here where it doesn't match now. So let's go ahead and yeah, that's pretty close, but I know it's going to dry a bit darker. Wow. Alright, well we're going to do this anyway, because getting these base coats on is going to matter when all is said and done, so might as well put that work in now before I regret not doing it later and this project takes any longer than it already has. Yeah, that actually looks a lot better. It did need just a smidge more of that yellow. That's an improvement. I can think of nothing that reveals my white male privilege more than being in my 40s making a toy and it being the first time I've ever had to consider that pre-mixed colors to match a Latina woman's skin are hard to find. Because I'm certain that that is a known thing, especially in the world of like makeup. But it's something I've never had to consider simply because of who I am. Little food for thought, I guess. Not a particularly interesting thing to think about, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things. All right, I can see this is not fully dry. I'm gonna hit this with the heat gun here, so I can go on with another layer. So fair warning to those with earbuds. Pretty good. And we'll try to give that a little more love here. Yeah, God, I hate the way this brown primer wound up working. It's pretty dark, and I'm worried about how many coats it's going to take for me to make this look right. But we did get there with that skin tone, for sure. Is there a fly down here? Usually I'm the only form of life in this basement. I have an early morning tomorrow, which is making me kind of dread my workout after this. But I had a good workout last night, first one back from the illness, which I do feel I feel I'm totally over. I do know that they need to do subsequent checkups to make sure, but I'm feeling good. Okay, it's looking pretty okay here. Let's get right up on the edge. And this is, I think this is where I end up feeling very different from watching Bob Ross, where he tells you, oh, it's okay, there's no mistakes, it's all your world, you're creating it. I'm working on a figure that has to look a certain way and be representational, and there's hard lines molded into the figure that I need to accentuate with the paintbrush and not hide and not disregard. So what I'm doing feels very exacting, and in that way maybe a little bit less carefree than what Bob Ross was doing. God, I love watching Bob Ross. Yeah, happy accidents, exactly. I don't have happy accidents. The rare accidents I have on these figures are catastrophic and very upsetting. Boy, that sounds a little bit out of character for me. When I think of the Perry Von Vicious persona, I'm not generally thinking of one that is worked up or concerned with things. He seems a little more happy-go-lucky to me. That's right, Adam NX67. We're just right on the edge of this Delmy figure. We're going to paint a happy little tree. Just a happy little tree. You can do anything you want in your world. Yeah, we did finally get there on this paint color, I think. I'm going to wait and see how it dries, but it's looking pretty good over on the Delmi torso as I'm watching it slowly dry. It's looking pretty okay. Alright, there's that arm. Set that over there. I gotta get this one, and yeah, we're gonna have to hit this with the heat gun as well, so fair warning to those with the earbuds, we're using the heat gun again. I do enjoy that about working with these acrylics, is they have a tendency, it has a tendency to dry very quickly and very evenly when you use something like a heat gun or a hair dryer on it. So it's a big pro of those craft acrylics, which is, I mean, really all I'm working with. I did upgrade my brushes some time ago from just strictly Dollar Tree brushes to some fine-tipped model-making brushes. I'm not using one right now, but I do have them. But I've still yet to upgrade my paints. I kind of like using the cheap craft acrylics. They're very effective on plastic. They have a very simple color. They're easy to work with, easy to clean up, very gentle on your brushes. And with the proper additives, you can thin them down for use in an airbrush if you want to. It doesn't take much. A lot of people will just use water for that. I usually use a combination of water and isopropyl alcohol. Reason being, the isopropyl alcohol flashes off very quickly. It evaporates so quick. So your airbrush paints have less tendency to run if you are like me and you're a little bit clumsy with them. They dry fast enough that they tend to not make a huge mess. And that, for someone like me of my skill level, that is a huge plus. Move on to the upper arm here. I've been enjoying the world of watching full concert videos on YouTube during my workouts, because some time ago I got rid of my paid Spotify and I just can't stand the amount of ads that they play. Last few workouts I did, I watched full videos of Weird Al's tour from this past summer. Which my vlog of my experience at that will be coming soon. Looking pretty good. Let's see, how'd that dry up? I think that's pretty close. Yeah, the coloring is still not exact on the face, which means none of this is going to be quite exact, which is frustrating. But nonetheless, we'll continue. Big plans for the weekend? No, not this weekend. It's a rare weekend off with no bookings. I had been invited to go up and help out and hang out at Limitless Wrestling, but it's a long trek, and I am still just getting over all this illness. So I decided I'd play it safe and stick close to home. Put just a little more of this yellow into this color here. And hope that that does what we want it to. I think it's going to be okay. Honestly, that Delmy face is just about ready for reworking here. The only reason I'm considering another coat is just to get the color just right, because it's still not quite there, you know. So you got a wedding to attend this weekend? Oh, a racing friend is getting married. And he met at the drag strip. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that was me a month, gosh, a whole month and a half ago, at Rip and Delmy's wedding. Which is what these are for. These are supposed to be their gifts. I mean, look at all the work I put into this Rip Bison. Look at the detail on those boots. Instead, they've been sitting here, just waiting their turn. Because the Delmy figure was difficult. Just like the real life Delmy. Had to be difficult. Funny enough, I've raced both of them. Similarly, with Delmy and Rip, I've wrestled both of them in one way or another. There's an argument that I finally had my singles match with Delmy in Canada, but it was about 7 seconds long and it was part of a gauntlet match, so I don't know if it counts. But I've had singles matches with Rip a million times, the most recent of which is coming in a week and a half. October 25th, East Hampton, Massachusetts Pro Wrestling Grind. I defend the Grind Grand Championship against the mighty Iron Rip Bison. Hell of a main event for Celebration Day for the end of Pro Wrestling Grind's calendar year. Alright, let's do one last coat here just to see if it helps the color out a little. Yeah, every time we do this it's getting a little bit closer. I do think this is probably going to be the last coat. It's just going to give that little bit of indication of the color that we wound up on. I'm doing it as a very thin coat. And I do think I'm not going to do any whites of the eyes on Delmy. What happened last time is the whites of her eyes ran. So I think that's it for her head. Oh, I managed to smudge a little bit down on the gear. I'm going to see if we can fix that. I've got a little bit of paper towel wadded up in tweezers here. Just going to see if I can rub that off of there because it's clear coated, so it should come off. Yeah, that looks pretty clean. I do see a spot where the gear painting actually got a little bit messy, so I can just get in there and a little dab will fix that. A little dab will fix that. Yeah, and I think we finally got there on the color. We'll see what it does when it dries, but I think it's looking good. And if that ends up working, I'm going to hit that with a clear coat in the morning. Give it a full 48 hours, and then I'm going to come in and just give her, she's just getting just the little eye drawing. No whites of the eyes. Her face is very small when you compare it to like when you put her head next to my head, her face is very small, so she doesn't really need whites of the eyes per se. Yeah, that looks really good. I'm very pleased with that. That's a great big relief to me, and it'll be very easy to clear coat because I really only got to hit the face. It does mean after I do the face, I'm going to have to re-chrome her tiara because the clear coat kind of kills the chrome effect of that paint. All right, let's get a look at these arms again here. Yeah, every time I do a pass on these, they get a little bit closer, but it's hard because the undercolor is so dark that it keeps showing through. So like if I put it next to the legs, you can see a notable difference in the color, even on this terrible webcam that doesn't focus. Very frustrating. Two men enter, one will walk away, and then the other will walk away a bit later. That's exactly right. That's how it's going to go down between me and Rip. Two men enter. They both leave, but not like arm in arm or anything. Although who knows, maybe we will leave arm in arm, just skipping together out of the ring. Because I will say that a mere 7 days later, we are teaming together. We are tag teaming together in Dover, Foxcroft, Maine on November 1st. For Limitless Wrestling and Let's Wrestle's combined show in Dover, Foxcroft. Mad will be teaming together up in Maine. And then 2 weeks after that, in Bangor, Maine, at a giant Comic-Con event. 3 times, 3 different shows. Mad will be teaming once again for 3 shows. And then we will be hustling back to town because Rip will have work the next morning. We got to make time. All right, that's looking pretty good. These later coats here where I've kind of got undercoats going on, they don't have to be terribly exacting. Then after that, you two will have a bloody feud where you will face off in a ladder match for custody of Dominic Mysterio. You know, it's kind of funny. I've been wrestling for a very long time. In January, which is right around the corner, I will have been wrestling for 18 years. I have never been in a ladder match. I've only had 1 cage match ever. I've only been put through a table once, and I have only, you know, you can get hit with a chair, like gutted with the chair, you know, the gut shot, that doesn't count. But actual chair shots where they swing the chair at you, whether it's to the back or the head, I believe I've only taken 1 chair shot, which is crazy. Because those are all things that I've never said no to. They've just not really ever been offered up to me. I know Grind has never had a ladder match. And in all the time at Grind, only 1 person has ever been put through a table. And that's me. Some people have gone through doors. But I'm the only one to go through a table at Pro Wrestling Grind. Alright. Call that a successful coat there. Give myself a little bit of leeway away from... I'm going to use my tweezers as though they were clamps. That's plenty of chair shots. Too many of those can be kind of bad. Yeah, it was not to the head though. One time I was hit with a chair was flat across the back. I've never taken a weapon shot to the head in a match, and I don't intend to start. Although who knows? Maybe Rip has other plans. He might be planning to wallop me with a chair on the 25th. Seems like probably not, right? Like, we're buddies and I kind of help him run his company, but you know, he wants the belt, so. I will say my record against Rip Bison, I've talked about this on stream. My record against Rip Bison is not inspiring. In all the times we've wrestled, I believe I have only beaten him twice. But one of those times was for a championship. I became the Pioneer Valley Pro PvP champion, beating him for it in, I think it was April of 2018. And then the other time I beat him, in the 30s plus something times we've wrestled, was in Canada for Kaizen Pro just a couple of months ago, in a match that lasted 6 full seconds. So I guess my recent record against Rip is pretty good. Now, we've only wrestled at Grind one other time. It was quite some time ago. I want to say early 2022. Rip did beat me, but I didn't make it easy for him. We had quite the match there. But at this point, there is no one I have been in the ring with more than Rip Bison, be it teaming, feuding, or even just being in the same battle royal. Yeah, this is these arms are going to take a few different coats because the primer underneath them is so dark that it reaches right through, which does not inspire confidence because I don't want this paint to dry out. The head is looking good. I am willing to call the head and torso saved. I believe that face color is close enough to the original flesh color now. I believe that's close enough that I feel okay with it. I'll show it a little more close up here. I believe that's close enough that I'm willing to say that that's good. So that piece is going to get some clear coat tomorrow. I actually have a whole new thing of semi-gloss clear coat coming. I've been having to do makeshift semi-gloss clear coating for a little while now because I was out. I actually only had like high gloss and dead flat for a while, and what I've been doing is I'll give 2 coats of the dead flat and then a very light coat of the gloss in the end. And it does give me sort of a very nice semi-gloss. Like, that's not a high gloss, that's a semi-gloss. And I think it turns out pretty okay. I am super bummed that this camera allegedly autofocuses, and I have not seen it do any such thing since I got it. It's been very disappointing. But it was a gift, so I am happy to have it. Alright, I'm going to take this arm, because I know it needs at least one more coat. And we're going to heat gun it, just to help it along. I know I'm running an exciting live stream when we're all literally watching paint dry. There we go. I'll have to come back a little bit there. Alright. And we're just same story. We're coming in and giving it another go here. This is I believe coat number 3 on this piece. It is getting there. I think even the texture is improving a little bit as the layers of paint get on it. Yeah, that's an improvement. So I've got some exciting streams coming up. I'm going to try to save it for a little bit closer to the end of the year, but I'd like to do a Perry's Best Matches of 2025 year-end wrap-up. I think that could be fun. And I know the let's see, I'll put my Meltzer glasses on for that one. yeah, you got to give me the my scorecard as we go. I mean, all of them are 5 stars if they're in the Tokyo Dome. 6 stars if Kenny Omega's in the match. But you know, I was thinking back on it. This has been quite the year for me to have wild matches. In the words of 2 of the indie rock OG heroes, they might be giants. I am older than I've ever been, and now I'm even older. But I'm doing crazy stuff. I've been doing dives. I hit a poison Rana this year. I did a stalling deadlift orange crush bomb. Just all kinds of neat stuff that I've never done before. So, you know, if you don't continue to grow, what are you doing, right? Not a greatest hits act. Hey, Bobby Gilbert. Welcome, bud. You made it. Painting up a Delmy Exo figure here for a bit of an overdue project. Alright, that's looking pretty good on that coat. That might be all that we need there. Let's get it up next to the legs and see. Yeah, that might be okay once the gear is on there. Once we get the gear on there, that might be alright. Good. We're getting there. Tuning in before your stream. I know I saw that your streams are always kind of right after mine. Alright. Oh, and I just realized I can keep it on this. Yeah, I'm going to use the little Dollar Tree clamp to hold it. Should have been doing that all along. Could have saved me a bit of heartache. We gotta hit this with the heat gun. Get that last coat dried up before we come on with another one. Watch your ears, my friends. guy's looking pretty good. Let's see. I know. I don't know if I think Cody may have wandered off. I believe Nickabeans and Rye are probably still around, and I know Adam and Bobby. You guys have seen some of my matches that we've done on watch-alongs here. I'm just wondering. So far this year, does anyone have a favorite Perry match? I'd be interested to know, because I mean, I have my favorites, but that's not necessarily the favorites of the people who matter most. I mean, obviously, I have to keep a little of my own opinion of my art in the running. You know, you have to stay in tune with what you like about your art, or how are you going to keep enjoying it as you do it? He who grows tired of Weird Al has grown tired of life. The same can be said of one's art. If you've grown tired of your own art, maybe it's time to not do it anymore. But I'm always interested in what other people like, because everyone else is a fresh set of eyes. Let's see. Tug of War against Bigfoot with Perry's Pulverizers. Yep, me and the Sarge taking charge. Yep, that was a classic. Me and the Battle Battalion. Classic. No, I recall it happening. I haven't gotten to see many of your matches this year, so once we have that year in review, yeah, I think that's fair. Maybe that'll be when I finally learn how to launch polls in the chat, and we can do star review polls after each match. I also think it might be too long, but I was kind of thinking at some point we do a watch along that would just be all of the matches I had on my Japan tour with Kyushu Pro. So I do have all of them. I believe all but one of them are now up on my YouTube. There's a few that are up on their YouTube. I started uploading the ones that they didn't upload, because it's been a couple years, so I think there's no harm in it. But the ones that they do have on their YouTube, I'm a little apprehensive to add to my page as well. I feel like that's eating into their potential views, and you know, they're a non-profit for their community in Japan, so I don't want to hurt their view counts. All right, let's see. Might need to go a little heavier on this. Yeah, just a little. All right, let's get a look at how that looks next to everything. That's looking, boy, that's looking really serviceable. Yeah, I think once we hit these with the gloss, the semi-gloss, I think this is going to look really good. All right, and I definitely, we are going to call that on this paint. We're going to call that all the coats we're doing of the skin color. Rematch, Perry Von Vicious versus Orange Cassidy in an Orange Crush match. The ring is surrounded by a pool of Orange Crush soda. Count me in. Oh, and I missed it when it flew by. Bobby Gilbert said me versus Mike Skyros was his pick. That was and Nickabeans picked the same one, the match where I won the Grind Grand Championship. I really enjoyed that match. I thought the two of us were able to, again, this is all inside baseball talk, right? We were able to flex some creative muscles that we don't normally get to do. My style is fairly different from Skyros's. And we were both pretty excited to do a few things that were a little bit outside of what everyone sort of expects from us. Alright, that looks good. I'm just tightening up the paint on the eyes of these figures, making sure that they look the way I want. Because there is no doubling back on these. These go out just like that. There's no clear coat that goes over these. These go the way they go. There we go. It's a handsome guy. Alright, and let's take a look now and see. Let's see, the last match with you and Levi as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Levi match. That one, again, all the ones that when I think back on them, there's so many of these matches that presented creative challenges. And I think when you've been doing something as long as I've been doing this, that's where a lot of the fun comes in. You know, that's what's enjoyable is, you know, it's a form of problem solving more than anything. You know, it's Delmy likes to say of certain things that she does, of like new hobbies and interests that she discovers, she likes to say, yeah, that really tickles a part of my brain that needed it, or that really scratches a part of my brain that needed it. And that's having matches that are challenging, that are different, where there's a lot of things to consider. It's not just go out and wrestle. It's who am I wrestling? Why are we wrestling? What's different about my opponent from me? What are the similarities? And finding ways to showcase those things. And it's something I feel very, very fortunate in terms of the matches that I've had this year. The opponents I've been given have made for some very interesting matches. The match I had early on in the year, back in March, against Ryan Mooney for Pro Wrestling Grind, one of the best matches I've ever had. My first championship defense against Joseph A-Game Alexander was a great revisiting of a match I really enjoyed the first time around. I liked it even better this time. The match with Jay Freddy at RPM Fest presented a lot of challenges for he and I that we were able to work through. And then outside of Grind, the work that I've been doing at Blitzkrieg Pro in particular, doing matches with Kirby Wackerman and with No More Heroes, and the storyline that we presented, slowly putting me together with Delta Force. Really interesting stuff and really fun. You know, there's some years that go by where there's not really any long-term storytelling anywhere. I end up in positions where I'm not particularly showcased, so a lot of the matches sort of seem like filler, like there's not anything going on there, and that was not the case this year. I'm happy to say. All right. We are pushing on the edge of what I wanted to do for this stream because I do have an early morning tomorrow and I got to get a workout in. I do want to assemble a Perry, though. I want to put one of these together. So I'm going to... Yeah, this looks good and dry. Yeah, I'm just going to check. Yeah, that's dry. Alright, so the torsos are good and dry. Wow, I really wish this thing was capable of focusing up close or far away. Just abysmal. Alright, but let's get a set of the legs here. I'm going to get a torso, and for those who've not seen before, the torso doesn't have any protrusions that I can clip to anything when it's drying. So in order to hang it up to dry, I take two foam earplugs and stuff them inside it, and it fills in and clings, and then the part that sticks out I can clamp. So those have been very useful. Let's grab a left and a right here. we are going to go ahead and put this guy together. How does one from the Midwest purchase a Perry figure? If you want to send me a DM, I have Venmo, and I'm happy to ship. They're a little bit pricier when I have to ship, just to cover the shipping. These sell as is, just this piece at shows for $40. It's $50 when I have to ship, just because getting it in the mail is a little bit more. When I do have it, I also have the play sets. I don't currently have any, but the play sets that have either a grind entryway or a Blitzkrieg entryway, and they will also come with a grind Grand Championship belt. I will say this is my last grind belt that I have printed currently, and it is spoken for. It's going to go with this figure that we're putting together now. So I'm gonna see. I think we're gonna put the torso on the legs first. And this is all about, you just take your time twisting and slowly, and then you'll hear it when it, there it goes, a little pop in there. Looking good, looking good. And then it's the same deal with the arms, where you take your time, a little bit of back and forth as it goes in, and it'll find its way, and then finally it'll snap on in. I'm actually gonna grip this one like so. There we go, nice and slow. And yeah, that little pop. And there it is. We have Perry. Looking good. Like I said, this belt is spoken for. This figure will not be going to the merch table. Years and years ago, I made my very first Perry figure. It had no moving parts. I might have an example of one here somewhere. That won't be within easy reach. It had no moving parts, and it was a filament print, which meant that it was very hard to paint in a way that would work. Filament is hard to paint because the little layer lines end up wicking paint into places where you don't want them. So those I printed in sort of a rainbow filament, so they were all different colors, and the color faded through the figure, which was pretty neat. I gave one to my mom when I made them, and that's the last piece of Perry merch that I've given to my mom, and that's been years. That was probably 5 years ago. And my mom has said that she really wishes she had one of the fully painted Perry figures. So this figure and this belt are going to my mother, so that she has. I don't get over to visit as much as I would like, but she'll sort of have a little me there, and that'll be cool. But yeah, I think for now, I think we're gonna call that a stream. I'm gonna work on Delmy's arms probably off stream on another day, just to get this the fine details done here, the little gauntlets and what have you. Thank you, Nicobeans. Yeah, I'm gonna finish those up probably tomorrow during the day, and then I'll be able to hit everything with some clear coat and finish it all up. And finally, basically, you've seen me make 2 toys today that are going to go on my merch table, and then everything else I've made has either been early prototypes or things that are going to be gifts. This going to my mom, and the Delmy and the Rip going to Delmy and Rip. But yeah, we're gonna that's a view for the end of the stream. Look at that. We're gonna call that a stream, and I'm gonna go get changed and try to get a workout in so I can get to bed at a reasonable time tonight. It's always a bit of a tall order, but I believe it is possible. Thank you all so much for hanging out on a workshop stream. We'll have another one next week, as I'm sure I'll have lots more to do by then. But for now, this has been way more productive than I thought it would be. So thanks again for hanging out, and I will see you all next week, Monday, 8:30. See you then.